can you help tell wedding couples, especially, of like what are some things that maybe they should look out for when they're trying to hire a wedding videographer?
The thing that tends to happen most of the time is that we're all budgeting, right? We have lots of expenses. We have tons of things to think about. So where do you start? And I think people tend to start with photography and other vendors first, and I think that's amazing because, they're almost like a very standard staple of the wedding industry. Now, as we've inserted videography and other types of vendors into the mix, obviously, I think a lot of them are very important, including videography. And with that comes quality as well, which, as we all know, we search for the best photographer. We go all out for those kinds of things. And I think that's great. But when you're looking to hire a wedding videographer, you're looking for the same kinds of things. And it's your most special day in your life. And I think one of the best tips that I can give is to not cut corners on the videography. And that's just me trying to be honest and blunt about the fact that every vendor is pretty much as equally as important. And it's good to make sure that we budget appropriately for all of them. And that way you get the best results for your most special day.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Everybody has their budgets, and I totally agree with that. And, some things that, unfortunately, videography is towards the end, usually is when people figure this out. But the best videographers out there will probably be booked by that point. And so now you're left with, not as experienced videographers, unfortunately. And that is something I try to tell couples is like, even if they don't go with us as a wedding videography company, I try to impress upon wedding couples like maybe some things to look out for with other wedding videographers, so that one, that they're well informed, because while we may not be the right price point for them, they should definitely be weary of certain lower price point videographers. But if they know the right questions to ask, then they may be able to still find, the diamond in the rough, essentially. Those budding videographers that are out there that like have a lot of skills, but they're brand new to the industry, and I think it's helpful for couples to be able to hear that from a wedding videographer who's just not trying to sell them a package,
Yeah.
I actually care for every wedding couple that comes to us and is inquiring about what we do, whether I book them or not. It's like I want them to make sure that they still get the best videographer out there. So, on kind of in that direction of like, what are, in your opinion, some things that wedding couples should look out for when it comes to possibly lower budget wedding videographers?
Yeah, I think when looking at lower budget videographers, you're probably looking at a difference in gear and quality when it comes to maybe their creative eye. So you might have people that maybe are 2 or 3 years in and they've only been able to invest so much into their craft, and they might have starter cameras. And that's when you run into situations where you have very dark footage when you receive it, or color looks a little bit weird, so things like that. And aside from being a gear related thing, it's definitely the how to adapt to difficult situations, and specifically ones that happen out of nowhere and in the moment. And I could give you a little bit of an example. So sometimes things run late at weddings, and you have coordinators that are doing their best to kind of keep track of everything, all the moving pieces, right? And sometimes that makes it so that you don't know what you're supposed to be doing until just a couple moments before. So what happens is you might have paid for a videographer that doesn't have as much experience with handling that kind of pressure. And being able to handle that pressure comes when you've been doing it for a long time. Mm-hmm. So that could be the split second that it takes for them to actually get the shot of you having the kiss, or, maybe mom started crying and they were able to notice with quick awareness and shift it over to get that shot. So, they say like a picture is worth 1,000 words and things like that. And I think videography is the same. And like when you are crafting a video, you surely don't want to miss things, and you want to be sharp and quick. And that comes with experience.